How do you stay motivated when learning a language? And I don't just mean the first couple of weeks when you're kind of like in your honeymoon period and everything is super exciting, but you haven't actually learned a whole lot yet. How do you get past that first speed bump when things get boring or difficult? My name is Jamie. I'm a language coach. Let's talk about getting consistent language learning motivation. Specifically, why exactly we lose motivation when learning language and how to fix it in the future. So why can't we keep our motivation when learning languages? And no, it's not because you're lazy or procrastinating or unmotivated, and there's nothing wrong with you. The reality is that it's easier to blame ourselves and assume that there's something wrong with us when in reality, there's something wrong with what the entire world is telling us. What is it that the world is telling us about learning languages? There's a couple of things. The big umbrella idea that stops us from learning languages consistently is unreasonable expectations. And this can look like a lot of different things. For example, and probably the most common example, is apps like Duolingo that make language learning seem fun, easy, and just it takes 5 minutes of your time and then boom, you're fluent. Except most language learners don't actually reach their goals using Duolingo, but that's, regardless of the point. While it is excellent that modern day apps like Duolingo make it accessible to start learning languages, what they don't say is that strategy of maintaining a streak, staying excited, getting all of the XP is not reliable once you get past those beginner stages. And you know this if you've been maintaining your Duolingo streak for like 300 days, but you're still in the same exact place you were 6 months ago. Sure, you've been maintaining your streak, but have you actually learned anything in a while? When you've been relying on apps like Duolingo to keep you motivated, but then you realize that the only thing keeping you learning languages is maintaining your streak, obviously you're gonna lose your motivation. And this isn't just a Duolingo thing. This is any type of language app that is specifically engineered to keep you excited to study the language, to press buttons, to answer questions. There's nothing wrong with them to get started, but if you want consistent language learning motivation, you're gonna have to eventually expand past that. And let's say you've already figured that out for yourself. You were using Duolingo, but you know that it's time to expand your horizons to get a little bit more surface level. You just don't really know what that looks like. You don't know what direction you're going for. And then we run into the next obstacle for consistent language learning motivation, and that is what I call shiny object syndrome. Now, I have an entire lesson on shiny object syndrome in my full course, The Method, where I go really deep on how to understand what exactly shiny object syndrome looks like. It's basically the idea of hopping from app to app, to resource, to book, to course, and never really feeling like you're getting anywhere. You never really feel like you're getting past that initial obstacle. You're trying all these different resources, but you still can't stay motivated when learning a language. And so you figure you'll try the next resource and the next one and the next one and the next one. Because they all say that they'll teach you the language, they'll get you fluent, they'll teach you how to have conversations, any number of different words or phrases that basically all mean the same exact thing. So now that we understand why it's so hard to stay consistent with language learning motivation, what do we do about it? So we already said that apps like Duolingo, shiny object syndrome, those all fall under the umbrella of unreasonable expectations, right? If you want to know how to stay motivated to learn a language long term, we have to switch it so that your expectations are more reasonable. So in my mini course, Mastering Motivation, I share this graph right here. It's straight out of James Clear's Atomic Habits. If you've never read that book, I highly, highly recommend it for habits like language learning and any other habit that you may want. But basically, I love this graph because it really exemplifies what language learners really struggle with. As you can see, we have this one bar, which is basically what we expect language learning to look like. And we have this other bar, which is what language learning actually looks like. And you see this little crux where there's kind of a conflict where we're at the point where we feel like we should be somewhere way over here, but in reality, we're still down here. So we're like, what's wrong with us? Why can't I do this? Why am I so lazy and stupid and all that kind of stuff? Why is my language learning not efficient enough? Why am I not learning quickly enough or learning well enough? And then we get all of these messages in our brain that basically tells us that we're not good enough. Instead, I want you to switch around that messaging in your brain and instead look at this graph and see where you are and see how we can change our expectations to be a little bit more reasonable. You're expecting to be all the way up here, but you're not, so of course you're disappointed because that's unreasonable. Instead, let's learn how to shift our mindset and our expectations to look more like this consistent line. So what is the difference between both of these bars of progress? Very simple answer is to see the progress that you've already made. The problem is we're used to these fun apps and resources giving us congratulations and trophies every 2 seconds to keep us consistent using their app. But eventually you learn that you just kind of hit a wall and you're not going anywhere. Time to reset how you're seeing your progress and learn how to see it from the perspective of the graph mentioned in this video. The problem isn't you. The problem is that you have been taught to expect certain things to happen that just are not reasonable. So if this sounds like exactly what you need, go ahead and grab my Mastering Motivation mini course. It's very short, to the point, will tell you exactly what you need to do, and will give you examples of resources that will help you do that. And you get lifetime access, which means if I ever update it, you'll get those updates too. And if you made it to the end of this video, I have a discount code just for you right here on the screen. So if you're ready to stay consistent with language learning motivation, grab Mastering Motivation right now. You can find the link and the discount code down below in the description. And if you found this video valuable, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video all about learning languages every Wednesday. Bye.